Hi, and welcome to the Song Stuff review of Exhale. It's a modern vocal engine from Output. There are 500 presets in Exhale, which are distributed across 3 different modes. There's a preset browser at the bottom of the VST, which allows you to choose the different presets. You can filter down the patches based on using these macro buttons at the bottom. If we go through and take a look at the 3 different modes of operation, which are notes, loops and slices. In notes mode, the sounds are chromatically mapped to the keyboard, which means that if you play a D3, that's what you will hear. There are 4 macros in the upper part of the screen here. For this patch we have tone, pulse, rhythm and shape, and each can be moved by mouse or by mapping a controller. So you can use an external hardware controller. The interface will learn what controller it is, and you can group them by just simply using the same controller and then mapping a second control to it. So when you move that one control, both of those parameters will move. So if you'll just let you hear a few of the different sounds here. So for example, with Angel's Cry, brilliant. Silent Films, Dark Clouds, Angel Dust, see Wobble Sauce, River Styx, very good. If we have a look at loops mode, there are 126, and these are mapped across 13 notes from C2 to C3. Really excellent. Wow. Slices mode is very similar, except Slices mode is a larger sample which has been chopped up. So let me see if I take a half fem, that sound there, and go from C2 to C3. I am just blown away by how good this is. I love this. Here we've got, if you look at the top of the screen, we've got something which allows you to change the key. So that, for example, for this Sol Femmes here, or O's rather, if I change the key, let's go to A minor. If I then change that to E minor. E major. So you get the idea. You can customize it to whatever the purpose is that you're going to be putting it. If we next have a look at the customization that you can do to sounds. So if I come into notes mode and go to engine, you've got three separate panels. You have the sources panel at the top, then you have the rhythm panel, and at the bottom you have the effects. And the effects are two different types. You have mod effects, which are affected by the rhythm that you choose in the rhythm panel, and there are insert effects, like for example reverb. If we have a look at the sources, we see that there are actually in notes mode there's ability to choose two different sources. So you can see here, for example, we've got warm oo and simple AM. If I click on that, then it brings up a browser which allows you to choose between one-shot samples, pads, and two different tape ones. Now, one-shot, obviously single sample playback. Pads, this where you can play a note and it'll hold it. And then tape 1 and 2, which are based around vocal samples, which are basically small segments which you can use to create larger sounds. Each source also gives you volume and pan. You can tune each one, and you also have an overall EQ for each, and the DSR is also customizable. In a rhythm panel, we have the ability to choose different patterns. So you can choose, for example, you didn't want a triangle wave, you could go for a sine wave instead to control these lower mod effects. You can also go for a step-wise pattern where you can basically choose a different step pattern rather than a wave pattern. You've also, if you change from simple to medium or even complex, you can see that for all you got waves, you actually can get some really quite complex waveforms for changing these. Here we also have the frequency, so you know what sort of, you can go to the tempo, which is tied into the bars that you're using in your DAW, which is very handy. And we've also got here, just at the bottom here, our mod sends, which allow us to choose for each individual one how much of a signal we're going to be sending to it. How much of this rhythm signal we are sending to the filter, for example, at the bottom. We can turn on and off each one. So for here, for example, volume or the phaser. And you can choose like phaser frequency and peak and so on. And at the very bottom we have our insert effects, for example, like pitch change or how dirty you want the sound, compression, tone, delays, and reverb. We can also change the macros here, so that, for example, if I was to take one of the sounds here, we can edit the macros, and here you can see you can choose the individual macro that you want to edit. We can choose the individual macro that we want to edit, and you can assign each one. So for example, here on macro 1 we have two different things. We've a cutoff and a resonance filter here, where changing this changes those. You can just see that both of those parameters are changing there when I'm doing that. So they're fully assignable. As I say, if I go to 2 here, you can see that we've got saturation, gain in bits, and we've got quite a good menu for those for being able to customize too.